when it wants to, and then when it don't want to, it don't work. Let's see if we got any volume now. Are we live? We got any volume now? All right, we're good. So I had to restart. I had to restart the whole system. All right, look, friends, we're doing a little tree trimming today. I don't know if y'all can see that. I know the sun's kind of setting. Oh, good grief. Friends, this is how I handle my stress. You know, I don't do the alcohol. I don't do all the other stuff. I just come out here and get to work. All right, friends, the big tree was right here, and we got it removed. Here, I'll put some tunes on for you. We're live. All right, we're getting this tree trimmed up. So look, friends, the whole idea of the cemetery is you want to be able to look from one end to the other and see the whole cemetery. And these cypress trees, the branches grow, and some of them are touching the ground. We'll come back in a couple weeks when we can get our trailer. Can't get it now. But that's okay, everybody. It's quite all right. It'll all work. That noise you hear over there, that's it's a little cheap thing I bought off Amazon, but it's an air compressor. That way you can self-recover. I told you I had to plug a tire. Holy smokes. Oh, it's looking good. I gotta get a little more on the other side. You know, if we do this once a year, this place will look real nice. But it has to be done at least once a year. Once a year. Oh yeah. Again, you want to be able to see through the whole cemetery. We're getting there. We're getting close. Of course. Sorry about that, everybody. This damn thing. Look, friends. Uh-oh. Gummit, I need some better equipment. Friends, I'm gonna make some observations from my call with my children last night. First and foremost, they've forgotten their manners. There ain't nobody in the home teaching them yes ma'am, no ma'am. I asked my children if they're saying their prayers at night, and nobody's saying their prayers. Friends, you understand why God demands men be in charge? He expects men to be godly. Because no offense, the women just don't get the damn job done. They do all the damn evil. Not all the time. I mean, there's men that beat their wives and drink and do all that stuff. Friends, that wasn't me. That was not me for the last time. I was the godly man. Now, I wasn't always that way. I wasn't always the best daddy, the best husband, but I worked real hard towards that. And when I was ejected out of my home with prejudice, and I was the victim, friends, I was the victim of the domestic violence. That's one thing the petitioner don't want y'all to know, is that she's the one that did the domestic violence. Friends, I got a video of the lady assaulting me. I got a video of the lady preventing me from leaving. That is domestic violence 101 all day. And friends, instead of accepting responsibility, the petitioner runs to the courts, does an injunction, does an ex parte, and then right when I'm about to go to court to let the judge know what happened, well, I get a violation for reaching out to her mother. I don't know, friends. I told you, I got to learn things the hard way. I can't explain this evil, friends. Friends, you know, some families have curses. Friends, some families are just cursed, you know, like many years ago. And I can't talk about this person's family, but there was a lot of evil in that family, is what I'm telling you. And my wife used to tell me about it, about her grandmother. I think they were like into witchcraft or something, friends. And I'm being 100% real. There's a family curse in that family, and I don't dare say that name. But it's the blank curse. You just figure out who that lady's last name is. They're cursed, friends. That's why they can't ever have godly men. The men never get to stick around. All the evil comes after them. But that curse ain't going to be continued on to my children. There ain't no way in hell about it. You see, friends, my family's not cursed. I got like 4 generations of my family in this very cemetery, everybody. My granny and papa are over there. Me, mom, people, their parents. They're all Christians. They're all godly people. I mean, they never had these type of issues in their families. No. They did not have a curse. Friends, if you're not spiritual, what I mean spiritual is if you don't believe in Jesus and follow him, I mean, you can believe in God and go to church once a week. That don't make you spiritual. Being spiritual is a choice. It's a choice when you actively run from evil. You don't run to the evil. You don't run to the courts. You don't call the sheriff just to punish somebody because you think you're going to get their attention by having them locked up and thrown in jail. That's evil. That's evil, friends. There's no other explanation. That's evil. Friends, it's either right or it's wrong. There's not a lot of gray area in these things. Again, I keep thinking, what the hell did I do to deserve this? And friends, I didn't do nothing. It's good versus evil. When I made the choice to be godly, when I made the choice to beg Jesus to remove my alcohol, he heard me. He heard me. He had a plan. He already knew I was going to ask him to remove it. He was just waiting for the prayer that little Lukey and I did. And then we're off to the races with the Sgt Grizzlegrits, you know, and then the lawsuit and everything else. Everything that's going on is in God's plan. I just pray that he keeps giving me endurance, friends. All I did in jail was pray for endurance. Because it's, you know, when you do something and you go to jail and you know you kind of deserve to go in there, that's one thing. Because you're sitting in there and you got a lot of regret. You got a lot of time of reflection. I met a lot of men. I met a lot of men in there that were trying to justify why they're in there. And I didn't judge them. But I just said, did you put your hands on the lady? And they said, well, I did. Friends, I mean, come on. Now, y'all know me by now. That never happened. And it was never in any of the paperwork. But these people, they know what to write. And then the judge has to do the temporary. Again, friends, it's good versus evil. And this is evil. This is damn evil. The devil don't want strong men in the homes because strong men will teach the children to pray at night. And friends, I asked my children last night when I got to talk to them on the parenting app if they were praying, and they said no. Nobody says prayers. Nobody talks about Jesus anymore. Are y'all starting to see what's going on here, everybody? I know some of y'all are a little smarter than y'all give yourself credit. God had a design and a plan for the family. And the man was supposed to lead the family. Not run the man out of the home and then the women moved in. Friends, almost every single night, if I wasn't doing a video or doing a live stream and I lost track of time, I was in my children's bedroom every night having prayers with them and having spiritual talks. And now that the devils removed me out of the home temporarily, that's not happening. And there's no one there to give my daughter, my oldest, the spiritual talks, so she's blaming herself for all this. Friend, my daughter told me last night, she goes, Daddy, it's all our fault. It's all our fault, the children. She says, if we weren't born, you and Mommy wouldn't have had that fight. It's good versus evil, people. It's good versus evil. Friends, I'm blameless. I mean, I'm blameless. If I had ever struck that lady or been violent or had any guns or anything, friends, I mean, come on. Friends, the lady told the judge, because the judge asked her under oath, if she had any concerns about me around the children. And without hesitation, she says, no, I don't. But when she did the injunction, she sure made it a point that the children were scared to death of me. And all the children could say last night was, Daddy, please come home. We miss you so much. Come home, Daddy. Come home right now. It's good versus evil, friends. It's the devil. The devil does this in the courts to the men because the devil knows that a lot of the men, when the men go to jail, they get spiritual. I just can't explain it, friends. It's good versus evil. But friends, good will always win. I just have to keep having some patience, friends. I don't have to like this. I got to be very careful what I say on these live streams. Everyone's telling me not to do them, but friends, I don't have a choice. I have to do my live streams. My lady friend was asking me who I got to hang out with. I was like, I got nobody. I don't have any friends that I hang out with. I don't hang out in motorcycle clubs any longer. My military friends abandoned me a long time ago, and that's fine. I don't hang out in bars. I don't have any more drunk friends to go hang out with on a Friday night. And I told her earlier on the phone that the only people that I was hanging out with over the last couple of years, when I was in the workplace, I hung around Frank Jones, my boss, and all the volunteers, the non-perverted volunteers that, the ones, I had volunteers showing pornography to children. That's evil. But friends, for the last 2 years, I just hung low at my house. I didn't want to leave the home. I was literally hiding under a rock. And I was just hanging out with my wife and my children. Literally, the only people that I was hanging around with, I'm not allowed to be around now. For the last couple years, all I did was hang around my family, and we did family stuff. And now, I'm not allowed to do that. I hang out in cemeteries, I hang out here because I don't need nobody. I come out to these cemeteries because I can do work. It makes me feel like I've accomplished something. It's healing for the families that come out here. Because friends, a lot of the families are old. A lot of the folks that come out here are like grandparent age. The cemetery is like 200 years old. And even my mother won't ever come out here. And the one time I drug her out here in the summer, that she had not an ounce of gratitude in her, and then she basically dressed me down that my lawsuit was a bunch of nonsense, and I left here so angry. But I can't do nothing for these people because it's evil, friends. It's evil. When you have separation, when you care more about your earthly treasures, your status, your job, your career. Well, you know, my mother has never had her job taken away like in the manner I did. I mean, I had the best job, friends. I had the best job. I was so perfect for that job, the assistant chief of the voluntary service. I loved with the exception of the escort. Those people were demonic over there. But friends, I took care of people. I used to bring them coffee on Friday mornings, Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, I was like the sergeant, the E7, but at the VA. And I didn't treat my employees like privates, but I would always follow up, make sure what they need. I'd stay late. I was very accommodating. I had the best job, everyone. And then God allowed the devil to take it away from me because I was chosen, friends. And then God had to put me through the humbling, and I'm still going through it. And friends, I don't get upset like I used to. Again, when I was incarcerated, the whole ride down to the Orient jail, God told me that this was going to happen. God told me when I was up in the Smoky Mountains, he said, my son, it's going to get a lot harder. But you must trust me. You must keep praying for endurance. I will give you endurance if you keep trusting in me. You don't repudiate me. Friends, again, like if you read the Bible, so many of the disciples, and I'm not comparing myself to a disciple, but so many of these men in the Bible were thrown in jail, and they didn't belong in jail, friends. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. God will test you. God will make sure that you have the faith. And the whole thing about the devil is the devil wants to create separation between you and your trust and faith in God. But when I was in the jail, when I was in the expertise, when I was in the loony bins, I just did what I do best. I connected with people. I didn't allow my struggle to get in the way. Yeah, I kind of said, look, my wife's lost her mind and she did it again. And then when I went to jail, you know, for those 3 days, so many men in there had the same situation. But friends, what I'm telling you is nobody had the situation that I had where they were blameless. Every one of these men had been there a little longer than me. And one man was there for 2 years for something that he did. He strangled his wife. Friends, that's why you have to get spiritual. That's why you can't have the alcohol. I mean, the men are supposed to be more disciplined than the women. The men are supposed to be sober-minded. I mean, you just read the Bible, you know, and Adam and Eve, Eve's the one that created the whole fall of man because she got deceived because she didn't obey God. I'm not saying women are evil, but women, to me, are more susceptible to evil. Especially the way the society's geared now. You know, they want equal, you know, diversity, equity, inclusion. They want to remove all the strong men, and they have for a majority of it. And that's why nobody knows how to change a tire anymore. And that's why all these men that I was talking to in there, when they got honest with me, because they could tell that I'm not the kind of guy that you're going to lie to. Because I have discernment, everybody. God's blessed me with discernment. That's why when the judge was talking to my wife and I, she gave us like a stern talking, like, you know, we need to keep adult stuff adult, you know, we need to try to work this out in the counseling, you know, the courts are the last place that you want to go. Because the judge understood, in my opinion, that this has escalated, and I had done nothing last year. That's why it was dropped. Again, friends, there's not a battery charge that went along with this. There's not a drinking charge. There's not a violence with children. There's nothing. It is this lady's distorted view of reality versus my evidence that is factual based. But friends, we got to stop talking about it. You know, I know the detective's watching now. Hey, detective, I found out who you were. You wouldn't even tell me your name the other day, but I got your name because when I got all my money back, you wrote your name on the evidence on the little money thing. So I'm going to do a little background check into you, my friend. I'm telling you, some of these detectives and these sheriff's people, they just don't act like the sheriffs that I remember. I mean, they get pleasure in doing this stuff. I mean, friends, I was violated for the silliest charge. Friends, I didn't go by my house. I didn't reach out to my wife. I didn't even text her. I know better. But friends, I told you, it's good versus evil. That's why I'm not mad. Like, I understand. Like, I'm blessed. I cannot believe. I'm blown away that God's allowed me to go through this. I'm blown away that God has so much faith in me that he knows I'm going to pass these. Friends, God will not waste time on people that he knows aren't going to pass these tests. And he chose me so I could show y'all how to get through these storms. Friends, these are storms. I literally got like 10 storms going on now, maybe 20 storms. And friends, there's storms on the horizon that are brewing that I'm not even aware of. That's why I'm out in the cemetery. That way, look, friends, I got my GPS. I got an ankle bracelet on my ankle. So the sheriff ain't gonna find me hanging out in a bar on a Friday night. I'm gonna go do a little more workout here. I'm gonna go home and take a shower. And believe it or not, I do have plans tonight. I'm gonna leave it at that. I got plans with a friend tonight. We're gonna go hang out. it's nice to have someone that actually understands you, that wants to listen to you. They don't just want to ignore you and yeah you for 13 years. I don't know, friends, what a nightmare. But I'm blessed. I'm the most blessed man I know. Friends, God kind of, let's go for a walk. We're just going to go for a walk. I think we got a little more. Friends, God kind of gave me the blueprints of what's going on here. He ain't going to tell me everything. But God told me that the devil, this is like his last attempt, Friends, look at this. My wife bought this for Christmas, like literally. It was last, I think it was 2 Christmases ago. And I almost pawned it last year because I had no money. I mean, my family literally were trying to get me to my breaking point. So I broke, and then I would just beg them for help and money. And then I fall right under all the family control. But now they understand that they will never break me. They will never have control over me. Friends, it ain't up for our parents when we're adults to have control over us. Hold on. Friends, the Bible's very clear. When a man leaves the home, he's to go, off with and start a family of his own. He ain't to have the mom or the father continue to do all the decision making for him. It's pretty damn evident. All right, let's see, friends. Look, like I told you. See, look. Uh-oh, this thing's hot. Uh-oh, I think I burned up the motor. Uh-oh, well, it was cheap. I just want to get a little air in it in case I got another screw. That way I got another way to self-recover. Listen, everybody, the Bible's clear. When a man's old enough and ready to go off and start his family, he leaves the home. He starts his own family. A mother and a father should be there for mentorship. They should be there to help the... Hold on, I got to go back over this way. They should be there for guidance. They should be there to help mentor. But they should never be there to try to make all the decisions and try to run the family for the child or the grown adult. But unfortunately, that's what happened, I've never, ever needed my family's help. I just needed respect and support out of them. And for some reason, they could never accept that. I love the fact that my mother likes to fix everyone's problems. But everybody, that's wrong. That is wrong. You have to learn your lessons the hard way. And I've learned a lot of hard lessons. But this time around, friends, I'm blameless. I have not done nothing wrong. Friends, I'm convinced when I go before the judge with this injunction and he looks at what it is, I'm certain it's going to be tossed out. Again, friends, the judge in my arraignment, the one that gave me, look, friends, my nice ankle bracelet. I'm doing community service out here. Friends, the judge didn't know that it was temporary. All it was what the state attorney said was a violation of an injunction, domestic violence with children. So, in a way, the judge did the right thing because he didn't know the situation, and they don't really care. It happens so quick in these things. You literally get like 20 seconds, and they plead your whole case, and then you're gone. You're sentenced. You get your bond, or you don't get your bond. But when it comes to these things, friends, sometimes, like the men that I met, like they literally put their hands on these women. One of these guys strangled his girlfriend, like strangled her. She had to go to the hospital. But when it was my turn, it was just like I was like everybody else. Again, everybody, you do not run to the courts. When something can be resolved in a marital counseling, you don't run to the damn courts unless you're evil and you're wicked. Christians don't do this. Friends, this is why the whole time I've been with this lady, and I got to be so careful because I don't want no more violations. Friends, this lady's done this to me 100 times, and I'm not kidding. Every time there was just a little argument, the lady she bailed. She never went to her mom's house because her mom don't have any. Well, friends, I got to be so careful. Friends, what I'm saying is these people, they've never really had stability in their lives. They've had a lot of instability. And then when David died, that was their brother and their son. That literally, they were hanging on by a thread, And that fast money came and went, that $450,000. That was the most money these people have ever seen in their lives. But friends, when I met the family, they had just gotten the money. David had literally he'd been killed less than a year. Oh, no, about a year and a half when I met him. And, the mom bought a real nice home, and that's when I met the family. I started dating. But within less than 8 months, all that money, listen, friends, within like 8 months, all that money was gone. It was all gone. It was all gone. Friends, that's $500,000 just gone. Just gone. Easy come, easy go, I guess. When you don't... Yeah, we need to get out here and get some more cleaning. I forgot my broom. Friends, when you don't know financial responsibility and you're suffering, friends, I got to be so careful. I know the detective's watching. Hey, detective, why don't you come out here and help me do a police call? Hey, detective, I got your name. I got it all, my friend. You didn't want to tell me. You thought you were going to be slick. Hey, detective, it says right here that y'all are supposed to come out here and patrol this. Where are y'all? Why don't y'all come out here and give me a hand and stop jamming me up on all this evil? Friends, I'm enrolling in another mental health counselor. I'm not going to use Damon Dye ever again. The guy who watches Jimmy Kimmel. He's perverted, and I tell you, he helped me out last year, but he's helping my wife out now. And I cannot go to the same counselor that the petitioner's going to. So we're just going to start all new, friends. We're going to start all new. Friends, I can't go to the VA. I don't trust the VA. And believe it or not, I'm not allowed to go to the VA. That's a part of my injunction, friends. I can't even go to the VA and get care. Ain't that something? That's evil. That's evil, friends. I'm not scared of the evil. I used to be terrified. But now that God has shown me, God has revealed himself to me multiple times, I'm not afraid, friends. Give me a stinking break. I just have to be a lot smarter. Friends, I can't make any mistakes. Look, everybody, they got me to stop doing my peaceful protesting. I guess y'all got a victory with that. I'll never do that again. It just ain't worth it. I need my shovel. Look at that, friends. 1881. Friends, God is revealing the plan to me, is what I'm telling you. It's going to be hard. The devil, he knew that this was all going to happen around the holidays. He knew that I was going to miss my son's birthday. But the devil don't understand that I'm a lot stronger than he thinks I am. He's underestimated me before, and he's done it again. Oh, look at this. What the hell is all this crap? All right, I'm getting angry now. That's someone's dog poop. What the hell's wrong with y'all? I tell you, friends, there's just so many rotten people in this world. Friends, this is a true story. Over the summer, when I first came out here, somebody threw their dead dog in a trash bag. They threw their dead dog right over there. I had to throw the dead dog in the dump, friends. I couldn't believe it. Friends, these are my flags I put here in the summer. I was trying to get enough money to... friends, there's over 200 veterans here. I don't have the money for that right now. But look, everyone, we need to start getting the weed whacking going on again. You know, everyone, it breaks my heart that so many of y'all don't understand that this is a spiritual battle that we're in. So many of y'all just want to get drunk and forget about it all. Just say, well, it ain't my problem. I'm insignificant. I don't matter. I'm only here a little while and then I'm gone. I'm going to go take a dirt nap. Oh, wait. I didn't mean to throw the trash. Friends, I used to think that way. I used to think I was insignificant. Especially when I was in the motorcycle clubs. I mean, I used to beg. I used to beg, okay, Lord, you know, if I were to die in a motorcycle crash, at least they'd have a nice funeral for me and all the brothers would be there. But friends, what I'm trying to explain to you is God awoke into me. God revealed himself to me. Now, friends, I'm not saying I see angels and I see things, but friends, when you're spiritual, God will speak to you. Again, friends, I don't have audio hallucinations or visual hallucinations. It's a sense of peace that you get. Pastors know this. Spiritual people know this. Even people who worship the devil know this, but they don't want to tell y'all that. They just want to make us sound like we're all kooky. Oh, we need to put some water on these. Oh, these things. Look, these folks came out here recently. But it's been real windy. You know, maybe we'll plant those tomorrow if we can get out here. Friends, I want to use water. Nope. Friends, the shack where I put all the demons. Friends, I don't ever put people down there. It's a facetious thing. It's improv, but that's where the well used to be. They used to water out here. This place used to be really taken care of. We're getting there. We're getting there very slowly. Very slowly, we're getting back to it. Again, everybody, you have to make a choice. And if you do nothing, you've already made the choice. You've allowed the devil to win, to conquer you. Friends, I watched my wife last night order 4 bottles of wine. It was delivered to the home, and I watched it all on the Ring camera. And then when she realized that the Ring camera was rolling, she tried to put her finger over it. Friends, I don't care anymore. You know, I'm not going to take it to court. She's an adult, but the fact that she was trying to hide it. Friends, the fact that my wife was like, the second she realized that she was on the camera ordering wine, it's like she thought she was in trouble. Uh-oh, I think this thing did burn up. All right, friends, we're going to put this back here. You know, our country many years ago used to be a country grounded in faith in God. But then over time the devil tricked a lot of the people in the government. And that's why they got obsessed with power and lust. Perversions. Friends, y'all know what a honeypot is, right? Y'all know what a honeypot is? Let's take a walk. We'll put the trash in the pockets. Friends, I was kidding around about running for Congress. I mean, truly, I wish I could, but you can't, because people like us will never break that glass ceiling. Because the establishment fears tremendously people like me, men like me, God-fearing men that know right and wrong. Look at this, friends. We'll just kind of turn it. The man on the mower bumped it. There we go. Friends, the devil is terrified by strong men like myself. And friends, there's a lot of y'all that are like that. Or maybe you used to be like that. Oh, the wind. It's been so windy lately. Friends, the devil is terrified by godly men, because we're the men that are going to stand up to the evil very peacefully. We're going to say, no. You're not going to have sex with little children. You're not going to turn them into sex objects. You're not going to transition children. You're not going to cut off their private. Friends, do you know we were so close to our society in America, it being acceptable to have relations with children. Friends, Admiral Scuba Steve, remember Mr. Levine, the fake admiral? Well, that guy was running the whole Health and Human Services, and he was making it a priority to normalize all that perversions. Friends, when that guy came on the scene, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, Lord Jesus, what in the world is going on in our country? And I know a lot of y'all felt the same way. But a lot of y'all just didn't care. Like my wife says, well, it ain't my children. I don't care. Okay, well, you know, it ain't your children now. But when everybody at school turns that way, then your children want to be like everybody else. Then it is your children. I mean, there's a part of me that I cannot believe that our country and our world is as bad as it is. I thought Afghanistan was bad when I was there in 05, 06. It wasn't that good, you know. They had their own problems. The men, I mean, over there, friends, they marry children. That's horrible. Like children my daughter's age they wed men. I just can't stand it, everybody. But the devil fears the strong man. The devil fears the godly men. The devil fears the word because the devil knows the word. He was God's most beautiful angel. Lucifer. Friends, I believe Lucifer's job was to help run the army up there, but he got so lustful with his power that he wanted to be God, and God couldn't have that. So God sent the archangel Michael, and they had a battle. I mean, y'all know the story. The archangel Michael and the devil fought over Moses' body, everybody, when Moses died. They had a battle because the devil said, I'm taking his body. And the archangel said, no, you're not. And he said, I repudiate you, Satan. Friends, again, my children are not in a spiritual home any longer because the godly man was removed by the devil because the devil tricked the petitioner to do all this evil because the courts, when you write that kind of nonsense, everybody, they have to do something. And then you just got to lay low until you can go to court. But friends, I wasn't able to go to court. 2 times I attempted to go down there and clear my name, and the devil got in the way. The first time, the devil had the petitioner so scared that the petitioner ran down to the court herself the day before and did an expurgate on me. Put all the nonsense in it, you know, all the same nonsense that worked last year. Friends, ain't that horrible that the lady knows that I used to suffer from war, that I did deploy, that I did struggle with drinking back in the day. So this lady used it against me. Friends, that's not godly. That's evil. That's demonic. And friends, the more I prayed about it, that gives me every right to divorce the lady, and I'm going to. Because God expects me to be with a godly woman. And right now I'm not, everybody. And this lady has not made any attempt to fix her behavior. It's just gotten worse and worse. And I'm the godly man that keeps suffering. So I've been praying, friends. I've been praying long and hard, and God told me that I have every right to divorce this lady. Because last year, I was making a lot of excuses for her. Because I had a lot of empathy for the lady. I wanted the lady to maybe get some help. You know? But the devil took advantage of the situation because the devil knew that one day I would be very strong leader. Look, friends, we got to trim this tree up. Come back tomorrow. If I don't get violated for doing a live stream, friends. I mean, I can't stand this damn evil. Friends, it's called probable cause. So they can just come out here and scoop me up and cause me another week of pain and suffering, but then I get to go to court and then I have to defend myself. But then it costs me another $1,000 and, you know, maybe they throw me in jail for a year. Friends, it's all evil is what I'm saying. America, graveyard dirt. Friends, America is not a godly country. America used to be godly many years ago, but America has since, we haven't been godly. Friends, I don't know, maybe 100 years? I don't know, friends. World War II was kind of like the last war that I remember. I wasn't around, but I got a lot of history books and I know my history. But World War II was like the last war where we were right and we were fighting good and evil. But then, like I told y'all, the demons, the lust, the power took over. And then the folks in charge of our country, well, they got corrupt, you know. They saw there was a lot of money in war. They saw there was a lot of money in the military-industrial complex. And there is, everybody. There's a lot of money. Friends, I know because I was a part of it. That PGK mission I always talk about, that was a part of the military-industrial complex. We got sent on special orders and we went to Afghanistan and we trained all the active duty soldiers in Afghanistan on that fuse. And guess what, everyone? That fuse is being used in Russia and Ukraine right now to kill Russians. It wasn't just for us, everyone. It was for the military-industrial complex so they could turn around and sell it to all our allies and make some money. Money. But friends, I wasn't spiritual back then. You know, friends, in a way, I blame myself what happened in my marriage. Because if I had been the way I am now, this would have never happened. I would have never allowed it to happen. We would have gotten help a long time ago. But I didn't know what I didn't know. And again, it wasn't God's plan that things work out the way they do. Friends, God gives us free will. He is in control of everything. He knows if you're going to choose to answer the call. He knows if you're going to beg forgiveness every time you wake up hungover, but then later on that day, you're just going to go right back to the bar and get drunk. Friends, I know I used to do these things, but not any longer, friends. Friends, literally, I think it's next week. Next week is 3 years, 3 years sobriety. And friends, I'm going to go ahead and do a urinalysis test. I'm going to go take a drug test. So when I go into court, I'm going to show the judge 3 years sobriety. Here's your drug test, Your Honor. The lady said I'm a heavy user of marijuana. Friends, marijuana will stay in your system for up to 6 months, everyone. If you're a heavy user like I was accused of, if I take a drug test on the day of court, it'll show up, at least remnants. But friends, ain't nothing gonna show up. Oh, that's gross. I told you, there's just so much work to do out here. I mean, friends, in a way, I am a perfectionist. I want all the trash, all the debris picked up. Because this is my mental health recovery. This is how I handle my stress. It's a very positive way. I can't work right now. I'm waiting on my lawsuit. It's like it'll never get done. But at some point, it will have its conclusion. Right or wrong, everybody. You know, I don't trust the government. They may just toss it out. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if all the effort that I did to try to get this lawsuit done. But even then, friends, it's all in God's hands. And look, everybody, if this had not happened to me, what time is it? I'd be leaving work right about now. I'd be at Bay Pines getting ready to drive home 3 hours in the traffic. And friends, the traffic is a lot worse now than it was a couple years ago. I don't even recognize driving around Brandon anymore. Because I told y'all, for the last 2 years, I never left my home. The only people I hung out with was my wife and my children. That's it. I didn't go to the bars. I didn't do none of that. I stopped talking to everybody. You know, but to be honest with you, my wife stopped talking to me years ago. Years ago. You know, friends, you have to have a spouse that wants to listen to you and have a little empathy for you. You can't just have a spouse that yeahs you. Because when you yeah somebody, that person's going to think that you're listening, that you're listening to them, but you're not. You're just yeah-yahing them. And then you have the misunderstandings. And then when you ask permission about, hey, do you mind if I do this peaceful protest? Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know what else to say, friends. You know, I can't talk about this lady because this perverted detective, he'll come scoop me up tonight at the campsite. And he would just, there would be nothing more that would give him any more pleasure to put cuffs back on me again. The guy knew who I was. He told me that he'd watched some of my the sheriff. I told you, friends, we don't live in America. You know, we used to live in America where you were allowed to have an opinion about the sheriff. And friends, there are so many sheriffs and law enforcement in Florida and other parts of the country that are in so much hot water for scandals, deception, lack of integrity, fraud, abuse, lies, cheating. I mean, friends, it's everywhere. But I guess a lot of y'all just don't care, because as long as they're not putting cuffs on you, you just let them do what they want. Okay. I guess that'll work until they put the cuffs on you, right? Friends, I wouldn't change one thing of how my story has been playing out. Because I pray, I talk to God, I seek Him. And yeah, all that was used in the injunction that I talk to God and I'm following God. I mean, give me a break, you know? It's just sad, everyone. It breaks my heart that the person that I invested, like literally, the second part of my, friends, I was married before. And let me tell you something, that lady never had any of these type of concerns. We never had injunctions. We never ran to the court. We were both kind of young and, you know, did things that we probably both shouldn't have done. You know, I'm talking, friends, I don't want to get into it. But when that lady met another man and ran off with him, I was relieved. I was relieved, to be honest with you, because I knew I hadn't been like the best husband. And she hadn't been the best wife. So it made sense. It wasn't easy. So maybe I jumped into my second marriage too quickly, friends. I don't know. When I fellowship with young men, I tell them, you got to date the lady. You got to date her for 5 years before you ever put a ring on her. And don't you dare get her pregnant unless you're married to her. Friends, it took us, let me think here, 12. Friends, it took us 3 years before we started a family. But we weren't going to church. We were in the bars. We were hanging out. We were doing all the fun stuff, all the motorcycle club stuff, all the soldier stuff, you know, all the combat soldier stuff. So again, friends, when I want to be honest, I have no one to blame but myself, you know, because God demands the man run the family. If you're still married and you're having some marital problems, you have got to get into a church. You got to get into some life groups. You got to be around people that understand what you're going through and that will give you good godly advice. Friends, you got to understand, like, both of our families are not godly. Even though they want to admit they are, they're not. They don't provide any spiritual guidance. They don't have any understanding or any compassion. It's just blame the man, blame the man, blame the man. And the lady, oh, how dare you? You can never separate the lady from her children. So the lady's always blameless, even though the lady does a lot of the evil. Oh, come on. No, he hit it with the mower. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Look, guys, if you're married and you're in the church, that's great. You got to keep it up. Again, you have to immerse yourself. You have got to be around godly people. That way, if y'all have a situation that pops up, and it will, you go to your church and you say, hey, I need some guidance here. You know, we're arguing about the bills again. You know, he likes to buy all the tools, and I told him we don't have the money. I mean, I'm just using that as an example. But friends, you got to find people that are going to be godly, that are going to give you godly advice. The advice that was given in our situation all these years was not godly. And it's destroyed another family. It's another family that the devil has destroyed. Now, friends, that don't mean that I will never, be a father. I'm still going to be a father for my children. I just won't ever be with this woman ever again. I can't, God revealed to me. He revealed a lot, everyone. I don't want to get into all of it. But I will no longer be in a marriage where I'm held hostage when somebody don't want to go seek help on their own. And they want to run to the courts and punish me. Throw in jail for a year. I'll literally a homeless guy. And I'm certain that some of the family would love that for a little while. Until people come out of their little spell and they're like, oh my goodness, what do we do? Well, we just want him to change his behavior. Well, y'all aren't ever going to get me to change my behavior, because my behavior don't need to be changed. Maybe it's y'all's behavior, You know, friends, I don't go to church every day or every week, and you don't have to. You just have to be spiritual. You have to seek God. The Bible doesn't say you got to be in a church on Sundays and then you get to go to heaven. It says you have to have faith and you have to seek God. And people, I seek God out here in the cemeteries. I'm by Brandon, Florida. It's Friday. It's about I'm terrified. I hate being out past dark because I'm drunk or on marijuana or other drugs or they're angry. But friends, I come out here because it's peaceful and I can like collect my thoughts and I can do some of these live streams, you know, and try to talk. I do these just to dress down my family, and I hate that happens. I know a lot of y'all are suffering because a lot of you are going through very similar things, and y'all are having questions like, "What the hell do I do?" You know, do I run to the courts? Friends, I would say you only run to the courts if there's actual violence. Okay, if the man or the lady's like punching you and there's violence, if there is a genuine concern that there's going to be children, then yes, you go to the courts 100% to protect your children and you. But friends, what you don't do is you don't run to the courts when you're emotional. You know, you're never supposed to make decisions when you're emotional. And in the military, in the army, they teach us these things. It's, you know, you get trained. That way, it's called muscle memory. All the leadership schools I went to, friends, I was just about to go to my master sergeant school. And then, you know, I just decided to get out. But in these schools, they teach you about leadership. They teach you about making decisions under pressure. And you don't ever make a decision when you're emotional. That's the beauty about being in the Army. They taught me to make decisions rationally. And then you line that up with my mental health degree. Friends, this clown, this detective, he kept trying to correct me in the back of the cruiser because I was saying mantic. I don't know. I pronounce it a little differently. So the guy was mocking me and says, "It's manic. You got the mess." And then he shut up real quickly. You know, friends, you got to seek God is what I'm trying to explain to you. I mean, maybe you got to go through a humbling like I had to go through to seek God. Friends, I was seeking God before this turned into the nightmare. But I guess not, friends, because I told you, the lady had the history of just running over to my mother's house. Anytime, friends, I mean anytime. If I told her I would drink 2 beers and I had 4, it was off to my mom's. That's not normal, everyone. All right, friends, enough of that. I'll get violated for talking about the lady around about, you know, communicating, but I'm not, you know. So listen, we're just going to do a little more work here, and then we got to go to the campsite. I got to get ready. We're going to go. I can't tell y'all what I'm doing tonight. I don't even want to tell y'all, but I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not doing nothing ungodly. Uh-oh. Look, friends, it's too easy. You got to get you one of these little picker things. The flowers, everybody. They fall apart over time. And look, I come out here and do this because Sergeant Major J, he's the guy that actually gets paid to come out here. Well, it helps him out because if he runs over this on his lawnmower, well, then there's a huge mess everywhere. Then that's just a lot more work for all of us to do. Friends, if y'all want to come out here and hang out, I would be more than happy to hang out with y'all. Look at this. Look at this little duck. Friends, if y'all are suffering and you're in the area, reach out. I got my work number. We can come out here and we can fellowship. We can clean up a little bit of a cemetery. We can talk about your problems. I'm not a mental health counselor. I got all the training though, but I'll never tell you that I'm a mental health counselor. But if you want to come out here and hang out and fellowship, I would rather you do that than run to the bars, okay? I'd rather you come out here and decompress with me in a cemetery and learn how to handle our stress in a very positive way. Friends, I used to tell all my soldiers, if you move a muscle, you'll move a thought. And that's true, friends. It's hard to be depressed when you're out here because you're constantly moving. And you're picking up trash and debris. And then you look around, you're like, wow, this place is looking really nice. Friends, when I was seeking God earlier in the year, he steered me out here, and I've never left. This was like my little treasure. This is my little cemetery. that every one of y'all had forgotten about. Even me, even all my family, we all forgot about it. But the wind blows things, it knocks things over. So friends, there's never a time that I've come out here and it didn't just need a little police call. A little this, a little that. Friends, during the summer, it was a nightmare because I had grass growing over all the headstones. I mean, the man was mowing, but that was about it. All the flowers had fallen over, debris. But friends, I'm certain there's a little cemetery in your neck of the woods that could use a little maintenance. I'm certain the owners aren't going to get mad if you come out here and just do a police call. You're literally helping the family out. Because the families actually own the plots, you know, and the family owns this. There's a deed in Hillsborough County down at the clerk of the court. The family owns 6 little pieces of land. And believe it or not, it's their responsibility to come out here and do this, but who's got the time to do that? A lot of y'all got drunkenness and football. What's the score? Is the big game on tonight? Who's playing? Is there any game on tonight? Friday night? Friends, God removed all that out of me many years ago. Slowly, surely. He got me out of the motorcycle clubs. And I hung out on my motorcycle for like a year before I finally just got rid of it because it was just sitting in the garage. I never rode it. I just, I got a lot of guilt out of my wife about going on the bike rides. And then God revealed to me, if I keep that up, I'm at risk of being killed on it. It's very dangerous down here in Florida. I mean, lots of folks get killed on the Harleys. And back then I was drinking, and I was probably doing a lot of risky things that we shouldn't be doing. But God removed that. He took the desire out of me. I didn't even want to leave the home. I had to force myself to go hang out with the club, the Desert Nights. And they were good guys, but I had to force myself. When I was out, I'm like, good grief. I need to be home helping my wife. So God helped me remove that. And then when I begged Jesus to remove my alcohol, friends, it was overnight. I can't explain it other than a miracle. When I was at the Bells Bondsman filling out all my paperwork, I told him a little bit about my story, and he's like, oh my goodness, I've been trying to get sober a long time. And then he told me that he too was literally going through a nightmare with his wife. Like he's right in the middle of a divorce. But he said he had a lot of anger and he got an injunction. I mean, this happens so often. But like every man that I talk to is not blameless. They all tell me. I mean, friends, if I'm going to sit there and tell you, if I'm going to open up and share it with you, why the hell are you going to lie to me? Because, oh, this is cool. This is new. Look at this, friends. I hadn't seen this out here yet. Friends, every time I come out here, I see something else that I hadn't noticed before. Look at this. I mean, whenever I can get back into my home, after the 11th, I can get all my equipment. I'm going to come back out here and do a little more weed whacking. We're due for some weed whacking. If I can ever get some donations out of you, I'll buy the weed killer. We got to do the weed killer. Hold on now. Uh-oh, what happened here? I don't know what happened. Like somebody bumped this one. Again, everybody, I want to come out here and get all the headstones squared away, like straight. If we reset these, they'll be good for like the next 50 years. The way our country's going, there ain't going to be no one coming up behind us to do this. All right, look, friends, we're going to go here in a moment. I'm just doing my rounds, It don't take much, friends. This is just an act of kindness. It's free. It don't cost you 1 cent to come out here and do this. And if you're like me and you're going through a little hell and you can't be around your family because the devil's tricking your family to do the evil, well, friends, it makes it. But the day that my wife ran down to the courts to do the injunction on me, to do the expertise, the injunction was a few days after that when she found out I was getting out. Friends, the last thing she said to me was, you left me here alone with the children for 3 days. It was like she was begging me for help, but she wasn't, because she never did. So she punished me, friends. That's punishment, is what I'm telling you. You can't run to the courts and punish somebody. You only run to the courts when it is legit and there's violence and someone's a maniac and they're screaming and hollering and they're making threats. Friends, that never happened. In fact, it happened not with me, it happened with the other person. And I think the other person understands that now. Friends, this is like the third golf ball I found out here. I better not find anybody hitting golf balls out here. All right, you know, we've got a whole pocket full of trash. Friends, I'm begging y'all, you got to start seeking God. You know, it might get hard for you, but the more spiritual you get, the more you understand that God's in control of everything, the easier it gets. You know, I was struggling so much that I did. I bailed out. I went up to the mountains. I was seeking God up there. He spoke to me. And then I thought I'd go to court on Monday and get this whole thing resolved. But hell, friends, that just made the problems even worse. I got a violation for something that I didn't even understand. But I told you, God allows me to learn the lessons the hard way. Again, I'm not angry that these things happen. I'm sure to the men in there, and I get to be like, look, guys. Oh, I heard the dog. Think about this, friends. When I get to go back there and minister here in a year or so, when this nightmare is behind me, and you know, I got some space between all this. Look at that, friends. That makes me aggravated. That's why we got to, tomorrow we're going to trim up the tree, and we're going to go let debris out of there. That is not the trash. The trash is over there. That's why I brought my trash can out here. But friends, just think when I get to go in there and minister to these men, I'm going to print out my and I'm going to hand it, and I'm going to gain their respect instantly, because I'm going to say, look, guys, look, gentlemen, I understand what you're going through, because like a year ago, I was put in here unrighteously, and I didn't deserve to be in here, but God put me right where he wanted me to be. That way I'd have that understanding and empathy. That way a year from that point, I would be able to come in here and minister to y'all and to teach y'all about not giving up. And teach y'all that, you know, God allowed y'all to be in here for whatever reason. Maybe y'all did something to deserve. Maybe you put your hands on a lady or a man, you know. I'm not going to be doing the ministries with the women. You know, you're not really supposed to do that. But again, everybody, God's in control of everything. Is what I'm trying to explain to you. I pray that at some point my wife understands God, you know, or at least gets spiritual to the point where she's seeking God and begging for forgiveness. But friends, that's not for me. That is, God has revealed to me that is not my place. That's why I'm not going to seek anything when I go to court. I'm just going to tell the judge the truth if she asks. Friends, there's a good possibility the lady's just going to drop. I mean, this thing's gotten out of control, but I can't. I'm not advocating for that. I'm not trying to communicate through my social media for that, but friends, that's a possibility. That's literally like one of 3 possibilities, and the judge even told me that that's a possibility. She said one possibility is she could just drop the whole thing. Second possibility is I could enforce what we got, or the third possibility is I could just toss the whole thing out. Friends, the judge told us this. What the hell's that noise? Oh, friends, I'm about to have a heart attack. I mean, I heard I don't know, friends. There's a lot of weird things going on out here. Friends, what I'm saying is it's on God's hands. You know, God allowed, to me, listen to me. My understanding is God allowed the devil to trick my wife 2 times, but there ain't going to be a third. Because God knows that I'm a strong man. God knows that I could go through these little loony bins, these 48-hour, friends. I was never there past 40 hours. But God knows that I'm a strong man. And every time this happens to me, I get stronger and stronger. But God says there ain't going to be no more. And God told me that the devil won't be able to trick the courts and the detectives anymore. So I don't know, friends, you know. All right, I think we're looking pretty good. I think we can wrap it up here. So friends, when I go to court, if I even have to go to court, I'm preparing to go to court. I'm not communicating with nobody. I deleted every number of my phone of any family member. That way there ain't ever any, well, he texted or did this, Well, I don't have their number anymore. God has got me literally on the straight and narrow. And if I make one error, one mistake, if in a moment of weakness I reach out to anybody, well, friends, I'm done. And God already warned me with that. That's why he says I have to do the next 3 weeks alone. But I'm not alone, friends. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of folks praying. I have people I met recently that call me and pray with me on the phone. And friends, my wife never did that. My mother has never called and prayed with me. Not in a long time. I'm talking decades. All right, this section looks pretty good. Friends, right here's the night that I was kicked out of my home because of domestic violence. Friends, this is where I parked my truck and I slept. Friends, is that domestic violence when a spouse forces the other spouse to leave and threatens to call the sheriff when nothing happened? Friends, that's called domestic violence. Because if you don't leave, then there's going to be trouble. And then you're going to go to jail. It's a threat, friends. That you are not allowed to threaten people like that. You are not allowed to use the sheriff as a tool, an instrument of evil to threaten somebody. So, friends, I was forced out of my home. I was not allowed to sleep in my home. That's violence, friends. Even though it's not physical, it's still violence. Violence can be verbal. It could be threats. It could be, a threat of retaliation. That's domestic violence. But some of y'all don't understand these things. The courts all know these. And again, everybody, the courts are all about money. You see, a lot of these women, they think, oh, the courts believe me. Look, the courts put an injunction on you. The courts approved your expertise, so you must be crazy. Well, that's not necessarily the case. The courts are all about the money. And if you go in there and if you put your right hand up and you sign the dotted line, that's perjury if you lie. It's perjury. That's up to 5 years in prison, I think, in Florida. I pray to Lord Jesus, please protect this lady. Protect this lady. I don't think this lady could handle what I had to go through, Lord. In fact, I know. But look, friends, we're going to stop talking about it. I'm toting the line. I don't want this perverted detective to come find me tonight and then I'm back in jail. But if you do, sir, if you do that, my friend's already got my credit card information, so I'll just bond out again. I don't know. I mean, good grief, I think if that happens again, it's going to be harassment. And I did, friends. I called Anthony Sabatini today. He's the criminal and civil rights lawyer. He's the guy that did Mr. HK's civil rights lawsuit. And I called him. I left a message, and he'll be calling me back on Monday. He already knows what's going on, and he's not happy. Because the way he's looking at it is, this is retaliation for me blowing the whistle on what happened to Mr. H.K. Edgerton. And it is, friends. The VA got a hold of the petitioner at her work and put the fear of God in her. Well, put the fear of the devil in her. And said, if you don't do what we tell you to, you'll never see your children again. Your husband's a lunatic. He's crazy. Ain't nobody go out there with peaceful protest. Well, she didn't really quite agree with it or understand it to begin with, so she fell right in their arms. Right in their arms. Again, friends, I deserve someone that's going to understand these things. And that's why we got some real hard friends. They're going to be hard for the children. But I'm certain when the children get older, they're going to understand, because they have a father that's going to explain it to them in a very compassionate way that kind of doesn't put all the blame on one person, just says, look, there's a lot of circumstances. Oh no, look at this. Friends, I can't get my trailer. I got to get a tag on it. And I'm not certain that the camp place I'm at would even allow me to have it. And I don't want my tractor to be out in the weather. So I'm just going to leave it at my home. We don't need to do no mowing out here. Ugh. I mean, I wish I could get my weed whacker. But that's okay, friends. Hold on. We're about to be done. My phone's about to die. Oh, yeah. again, everybody, this is a spiritual battle. I'm not angry or mad at anybody. I'm not. I'm not even upset with you, detective, but I do need to see your transcripts. I met a lot of guys in 7 Charlie. I met a lot of the detention deputies. Ain't nobody in there had one good thing to say about you, sir. And they all knew you. All they said was, oh, he's got such pretty teeth. And they know who your wife is. Oh, I told you. He did, friends. He had the most pretty teeth. He spends a lot of that detective pay. Hey, detective, I know you spend a lot of that detective pay, that taxpayer pay that we pay you to go after criminals. I know you got your teeth whitened a couple of times. And friends, the guy shaves his arms. He likes to go to the gym and he shaves his arms, friends. He's a perverted girly man all day long, all day long. And he's got these horrible, I don't know, what is it, Aztec tattoos on your right arm? Come on, buddy. I know you picked it off the wall in the tattoo shop. You're like, oh, I want to be a cop. I want to be a cool cop. So I'm going to go get some tattoos. Look, buddy, I designed all my tattoos like 20 years ago. There ain't one tattoo on me that you'll find anywhere else because I created them all and I designed them because I'm an art guy. And friends, folks like this, they have a lot of hatred for themselves. That's why they have a lot of pleasure when they're literally arresting a man that's just trying to do some good. I don't know. You know, I asked the guy if he was a veteran, and he said he was, but he didn't elaborate. So that tells me that he probably wasn't. And then I asked him if he was a father, and he lied again. He said, oh, yeah. And I said, well, how many children do you got? And he got real quiet. He goes, I got one. I told you, these people are demons. They just want to lie. I caught you, buddy. I caught you. You knew you were doing something dirty. But that's okay. I told you, you can't keep a good soldier down. I went in there like a champ. I met a lot of good folks, and I met a lot of good folks. Friends, the man that I went in with booking, Mr. Alex, he was like a 70-year-old Vietnam-era cook on one of these aircraft carriers. The man was taller than me. And he was still a little drunk when he got booked, but the guy went to the infirmary. He sobered up, and he was released the same time I was. And friends, I gave the man a ride home. We had an Uber down to the courthouse where my truck was. But the man had a bum leg. He had an injury on his knee. And friends, when you get released from jail, you got to walk home if you ain't got no one to pick you up. And the guy had no one to pick him up. And I said, look, friend, we're going to do an Uber. And I had a little more money on the card. And we did an Uber downtown. And I drove the man to his little apartment right down the road there. And now I got a new best friend. Friends, I told you I'm not like y'all, okay? I used to judge people. I used to judge my uncle. He was addicted to crack cocaine. I hadn't heard from the man in a while, so that tells me he's probably back incarcerated, you know? But now that I had to do it for a few days, I have a whole complete understanding of it, friends. Friends, I don't want to ever experience being locked up more than 3 days. It was hard, friends. I mean, it's just the uncertainty. I guess if you get a sentence and you got like 2 years, then you can start the countdown like when you're on a military deployment. But I never thought I was going to get out of that place. Because again, I'm like, what the hell did I do to get in here? Oh, they just made up a charge. They stretched the charge. My wife and her family turned me over because they're so angry right now. I mean, friends, I can't explain this. I had all these people over in my home literally 3 weeks ago for Thanksgiving. I can't talk about them, friends. We don't want to test the waters. I don't need any more silly. I don't need no more of this, friends. Look, friends, I got to come in here and we got to start getting rid of all this crap. Friends, I think they make an attachment that goes on the weed whacker that'll chop all that crap up. But we need to get it done. Look, there's a veteran right here, friends. There's a sergeant. There's a master sergeant over here, friends. Tomorrow, friends, if y'all want to come out here, I need a flat shovel. I need a flathead shovel. I need some other things. Hey, it's my friend. Hold on. What's up, brother? Just doing a little police call. Oh. They got all the debris out. That looks cool. I'm doing my live stream. How you been, brother?
I'm doing good.
Say hi to everybody.
Hey.
So I got a nail in my tire, so I had to plug it while I was out here, and I had to change it at the campsite.
Oh, wow.
I'm staying at a campsite now, as my wife went crazy on me, and it's a nightmare. I can't talk about it. We got an injunction.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm just blown away that they got that tree. Remember that we were complaining about it on my live streams? Do y'all know the man that did it? I came out here one night because she kicked me out of the home, and I literally slept in my truck right over there. It was like 3 Saturdays ago. So then I just got to work in the morning cleaning. And when I came out here, the tree was gone, but it had all the debris, and I couldn't believe it. Remember I saw you like 2 weeks ago? So they came out here and cleaned it. I'm just blown away. So I trimmed up those trees today.
Looks awesome.
And next week, I'm gonna do a couple trips to the dump. But I'm gonna try to get some of these low-hanging ones trimmed up. I'm gonna try to get my ladder.
You want that out there?
Yeah.
I'll fall for dang shaved roof.
Well, I don't want to fall.
So what are you doing for Christmas?
I got some friends I'm gonna hang out with. I've been doing my ministry, so I've been down in Ybor feeding a lot of the homeless folks. So I got a couple shelters I'm probably gonna hang out with. Not because I'm homeless, but I just want to hang out with the other folks, you know. Yeah, my whole family turned on me. I mean, it's a night. I spent 3 days in jail.
Man.
I got an ankle bracelet. Look at my ankle bracelet. Because my wife turned me over to the sheriff because she didn't like that protesting I was doing. And then they claimed I violated the injunction, and I spent 3 days in jail. I just got out 2 nights ago.
So now you got to be on the phone with them?
No, it's all nonsense. We get to go to court on the 11th of January, and then I'll be tossed out. Remember I told you it's spiritual, right?
Yeah.
I saw a dang guy
I
lying
know.
down in the woods. Lying down there in the woods there on the side of the road. I don't know he's dead or what.
Where is this at?
Right down there at Lawrence. Down there at Lawrence.
Well, I don't want to mess with that. Call the sheriff.
The sheriff will get him real quick.
Yeah, I've just been doing my ministry, you know, and when she kicked me out of the home, I scrammed. I went up to the Smoky Mountains for a week. I bought a travel trailer because I still have a little credit. So I'm living over there in one of the county parks, just doing my thing, you know. I got to talk to my children on the phone last night.
You got your lawnmower?
No, it's at my home. I can't go to my home. I can't get none of my tools until I go to court.
That's crazy.
It's horrible. This lady's lost her. I got to be careful because I'm on the live stream and the sheriffs are watching me. They're on here too watching me, but it's spiritual, like I told you.
Oh, so they're watching to see who you're talking to?
Oh yeah, big time. Hey, detective, are you watching right now? He is. He watches all my live streams. But it's spiritual. You know, I told you I got godly a couple years ago. Jesus removed my alcohol, and then the devil just came after me. But I talked to my lawyer today about my lawsuit, and after Christmas we should get an answer. It's either going to go to trial or they're going to settle. But they're going to settle because nobody that I sued works for the government anymore because Trump fired them all. So how are you going to go to trial when these people they're not around to you know, so it's all, I just have to keep trusting God and just keep having that faith, you know.
You got this.
Oh, it's easy. I mean, it's, when I was in jail, I've never been in jail before. I've spent a night in jail, but I was out, you know, early in the morning. But they said no bond because it was a violation of a temporary injunction. Like this lady made it sound like I just beat the crap out of her, but there was nothing there.
Wow.
I told you, there's a lot of this going on. And so I spent 3 days at the Orient Jail, and I met so many good men in there. I mean, we prayed, we talked about Jesus. It's amazing. I needed that experience because my ministry, I'm going to start doing some ministry work in the jails. Because a lot of these guys, all the men that I talked to that had the similar injunctions, they said, yeah, I beat the crap out of my wife. I punched her. I strangled her. And I'm like, well, I fled the home. So I had a lot of friends in there, you know, and I'm going to start a thing like it's called the iCare program where you can send like $50 on their canteen. So when I start getting some funds, I'm going to start sending some funds for these guys, you know, because some of these guys I met are in there for like 2 years. It sucks, you know, I'm not going to lie. It wasn't fun. But the deputies, the detention deputies, everyone that I met they were the nicest guys. They understand these things. It's the guys on the streets that are the maniacs.
You be out there cleaning them all.
Well, I got to lay low for the next 3 weeks and go to court. She may just toss it out because, I mean, I don't know. I can't explain this, you know.
I hate that court.
It's good versus evil. In these courts, that seems like the ladies always get, they always get everything, you know. But anyways, I'm just getting ready to wrap it up here. But yeah, I got a couple bags of trash and trim that tree up. So I'm gonna hit that tree tomorrow, and there's some more in the back. Remember, the whole goal is when we look around the cemetery. Here, I'll show everybody. When we look around the cemetery, you want to be able to see from one end to the other.
Yep.
And I'm gonna start working it out here. You know, there's a grave right here. There's a few.
Oh, damn.
So I got, and this is my family right here. The glasses. Yeah, the glass that was part of my mother's side of the family. Horace Oliver Glass Jr. So my great grandfather was Horace Oliver Glass. I don't know if he were brothers or that was his son. I don't remember. You know, we don't really talk about it. But I'm just blown away that somebody came out here and got that tree out of here.
There's a gray van Toyota was over there parked on that one. She come walking around through here.
Yeah.
I don't know who that was. She stayed out there till I left.
Huh. Well, somebody put their dog poo-poo and threw it in the front up there. I'll come get that tomorrow. I told you somebody threw a dead dog in a bag when I first started coming out here in the summer. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I'm just getting ready to wrap it up. I gotta go back out to the campsite and I gotta go hang out with a few friends tonight, you know, some spiritual friends, so.
Yeah.
All right, well, how's your doggy doing?
She's doing good.
That's good. You know, I come out here because it helps me with my mental health.
I know.
And, you know, I don't drink, I don't drug, I don't do nothing, you know. So coming out here, I just do a couple live streams.
Get your mind, gotta get your mind straight.
Yeah, but look at this. Remember when I came out here in the summer, there was no flowers. It was just overgrown. And you know, one man came out here and got it started, and then we got the sign redone, you know. I was able to do that.
You mean new roof?
Yeah, it does need a new roof. But I'm just blown away that tree's gone.
It opened it up.
Oh yeah, but look at the families, like the plots that were over here.
I was wondering if was there any tombstones was right there where the dirt was.
Well, yeah.
I
Here.
don't see. You know what I'm saying?
Well, remember this whole area was covered.
It's covered. Yeah. There's a little child over here.
So I trimmed these up today. Whoever did this, I would love to see that sometime. Y'all will find out. Because he didn't just chop it up, look, he cleaned it all. He removed it all. He'll probably come out and do stuff right. It's just amazing, you know. You just take a little initiative and then somebody else comes up
I
and does
take
their
that
part.
thing tree down too.
At least trim, absolutely.
I take that thing down. That's one of the better things.
I need to when I get my weed whacker, I'm gonna get in there and clean up that area. That's one that I wasn't able to get to. You know, I'm trying to put my family back together this past year. My wife did this to me last year. When I decided to sue the government, she didn't support me. Just completely. She still works like a They had a meeting with her sheriff like 3 weeks ago and scared her and said, "Oh, your husband's doing crazy. I heard someone, get him locked up." She's like, "Oh, what can I do to help you?" But I got to talk to my children last night. And see them. Okay, well, we got this on WhatsApp is. Right now, my son, he's like, "Daddy, come home. Come home right now. I'm going to be at home." I cried for 15 minutes. I couldn't stop. And then my oldest daughter's 10, and she's like, "Daddy, it's all our fault. It's all our fault. We weren't born when your mom didn't fight." And I was like, no, it's not your fault. This is about, just don't even think about it. I love you. But it's spiritual, you know. I just got to keep going. You know I'm going to make it. You got to keep going for her. I had one in my RV last night. I got him smack. So when I get my kids and I'm able to see them again, like the 12th of January is great. When I do everything, because I have to divorce my wife over this. I think it's the hardest thing. It'll just get worse and worse. Next time she does it, I'll be locked up for you. But I got my ministry, you know what I mean? I got my disability with my VA. Well, I would love to take over the cemetery. I don't know how much you pay the other guy. Y'all know what church it is? Where's it at? She's right down here, right? I'm gonna go talk to you this week because the guy that was doing it, he works for TJ. He was just helping out because I would love to take this over. I wouldn't charge him much. You know, I'd charge him $100 a month or whatever it is, just to help me with the gas. That way I'm not racking up my credit cards. But I got the lawnmower, I got my ministry, my 501c3, so I'm gonna probably just like doing like some lawn stuff, you know. Get my business license eventually, but when it's my weekend with the kids, I'm just gonna take them camping for the soda and hit all these parks. So we're gonna be able to start the memories, you know, create memories here. And then, you know, maybe my wife gets help, maybe we reconcile, but it's gonna be like a years long. So I mean, I gotta be away from this. She never got spiritual, she drifted away. And I got pushed away. She resented me. I don't understand it. It's almost like she did all this so I would make her. It's hard to do the homies. We're done at dinner. Oh, I got my new Angus to do. Yeah, I did. I got another cemetery out in Libya, and that one's looking real nice. Because when I went out there last year, it was last year I went out there. It was real bad. But now they got another man. So how I know somebody's doing the weed whacking, they got different color line. The guy that does it out here has neon yellow, and the guy at the other place has blue. I don't know, it's just nice when people just give it back to them. Oh yeah. Family stuff. I'm not speaking of my family. My mother wouldn't even answer my phone calls when I was in jail. It's, you know, people get tricked. They want to try to teach you lessons and stuff, but it ain't for us to teach people lessons. It's God. God's going to teach them. So God told me when I was in the mountains, because I went up to Cherokee, North Carolina last week, and I stopped in Stoneman, Georgia. And I was, you know, mourning and crying and then seeking God, and He basically revealed to me that my task is to teach forgiveness to the people. Because all the evil they're doing, they're throwing me in jail, leaving me there, and like I still forgive them because I understand that they've lost their way when it comes to me. Christians don't really want to do these things. So I don't know. But I gotta keep going. My children might call me and talk to me. Well, I look, my watch is, I got a solar watch and it's charging. Alright guys, I'm gonna get on out of here. Y'all gonna do your walk? Well, this is nice. Now people can drive this way. I don't know, this damn lawsuit, it's the government, you know. Hopefully sometime this year it'll be done.
They take me for you.
Well,
Don't forget your watch set.
yeah, so it's a solar watch. I was trying to get it a little charge. I couldn't even, when I had to leave the home, I couldn't even grab nothing. Like whatever I had was what I had. It's just so evil. And I couldn't grab my charger, you know. First week I was just sleeping in the back of my truck. And then I drove up to Georgia and I was able to finance a travel trailer. It's a nice Coleman. It's a 17-inch. It was only like,
Take your phone up, man.
well, yeah, I was doing my live stream. It's all gonna work out, you know. God's got me.
I got
He
your
got
trailer
you.
hitch on my car before I can get a trailer.
Look, this is all from the snow. It was snowing up there.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, y'all go enjoy your walk. I'll be out here tomorrow because I told you I got really nothing to do. Huh? Well, I don't want to have to. Just keep praying, you know. Is this your sister? Oh. Which one? Oh man, I had never been down there. I got one of these at a yard sale. They gave it. Okay. job 3 years ago, I had to sue the government. So my new job's the ministry, you know. But it all work out, you know. God's He's gotta take care of us. I've been doing like 1 to 2 meals a day for the last 3 years, preparing me for this time now. All right, guys. Yeah, you look like you slept down a little bit. Yeah, I got it. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, beanie weenies. I'm literally living like a homeless man. I almost was, you know. I love the campsite. Put some air in it, put some soap water on it. But I got the spare. The devil. He died, he won't be down the road. I had the time of my life. I know that sounds crazy. I wasn't angry, I wasn't mad, because I understood God wanted me, right? And I've met a lot of weird black guys, and I'm not really it wasn't scary, but you just show respect to people and you get it right back. You know? But I didn't take gifts from nobody, and that could be like a one-time contract. I'm gonna tell you something, cornbread too. That was some good cornbread. It was like some kind of soup with cornbread. Everybody, I used to make cornbread. But all the guys are walking around like super tray, like all these party training. But again, it's just more experience in my ministry. But he made well, yeah, I can't go to my house. I'm going to my trailer. I'm going to guys with disabled veteran, I can stay there $12 a night. You can stay there 30 days at a time. And then you just go to the next person. I can't go home to my wife. You know? I mean, even if there's a chance that we could reconcile, I need at least 6 months separation. I need her to go to counseling, right? Find out what it's like to have to be around. So that way she cherishes me and understands that we need each other. The last thing I want is a family. If she don't want to get right, I can't allow my wife to. I wasn't drinking and driving. I didn't get in a bar fight. I didn't slap my wife. I literally fled. I parked my truck right there the next time to get out of here. There has done nothing. I sent her mother a text last Sunday saying how sorry I was. And they reported me to the detective. And when I was about to walk through court down here downtown, they don't scare me. To me, it's just builds more of a story. Because I know I didn't do nothing wrong. I'm like Joe in the book of Job. I did not do nothing. So then I understand it's the devil trying to get under my skin. I'm like, okay. So I went in there and I just fellowship with him. There was a black man that we were booked on. He got booked for that. He was another Navy guy from the army. So he was in there and he was drunk. He got seen at one stop. He got started out on the back. So we hung out for like 8 hours for the book. And then he wanted to be a friend. And when we got released on Wednesday, when I got released on Sunday, he had a bad knee and he didn't have a ride home. So we had to take the Uber and yell all the way downtown where my truck was. Right home now. I got me home. I told everybody about my ministry and my social media, so I got like 100 more fans now. That's good. Y'all want a water? No, I got coffee. All right, well, I'm gonna get on out of here. I'll be back out here tomorrow. You be out there. Then I just gotta stay busy. This keeps me busy. And I still got your phone. Yeah. At some point, God's going to bless my ministry. One project that I'd love to do, maybe I'll start tomorrow. I want to get a map of the Social Security Sunday, just walk one into the other, just draw a map, just write down all the information. And I'm gonna put it on a spreadsheet. And then I'm gonna start a website that'll be like this is the website that people, they come out here. It's just we don't have to have lumber. Yeah, look at the truck. I think like 18 acres old is great, like somewhere around there.
If you stay a little bit more, you'll see that guy coming down.
Oh, I saw him the other night.
He'll see him. Yeah.
I had to talk to him the other night. He's a bigger guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, don't come on straight.
I want to get a doggy, like the parks. I want to get a little doggy, with the bag out. I want to get one and put it right there. I told you I got nothing to do. Even when my wife was probably, I'm still going to have to have something. Then I got invited to run Tampa, and a lot of blacksmith here. This is my job. I know I'm a weirdo. I hang out in cemeteries.
That's right.
I don't hang out in the bars, All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna get on out of here.
Yeah, you may go home.
Yeah. So I'll see y'all when I see y'all, but I'll be out here tomorrow sometime.
Yeah, okay.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later.
All right, be careful.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I do.
Only once in a while.
All right. I'll see y'all now.
You need me, call me.
All right. Sounds good. Oh yeah. All right, friends. I told you. Friends, hold on now. Friends, I told you I got fans everywhere. These are the guys. They live out here, and the guy that's got the doggy that goes poo poo. Friends, I can't have no trouble. I gotta get on out of here. All right, friends. Look, we're gonna log it off, friends. Friends, we'll talk to you later. We'll log back on at the campsite. Y'all have a good night now. See you in a little while. I'll see you on the trail. Corporal Stevens, turn this thing off. Hold on, everybody. Think about these things. Oh, I don't like to think about it. So stop thinking about me. Friends, I wrote all these songs in the summer. Stop thinking about me. Stop thinking about me.
You're gonna be alright.
Yeah.
You're gonna be alright.
You're gonna be alright.
Stop thinking about me now. You're gonna be alright. You're gonna be alright. You're gonna be alright.
Oh.
Stop thinking about me. I'm not thinking about myself. I don't like.
Well, I gotta get a new.
Stop thinking about me. You better stop thinking about me.
Dadgummit.
You better stop thinking about me.
All right, friends, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later.